What's for dinner? Hey everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to Chef Z Cooks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make pastelon de papa, which is honestly like a Dominican shepherd's pie. So you're going to have some creamy mashed potato along with some beautiful carne molida or picadillo. Now, a few things when it comes to this recipe. Number one, it is going to become your new family favorite. Like, I have honestly been making this dish almost like every other day because my sister just loves meat and potatoes. I mean, let's face it, it's a match made in heaven. Let's go ahead and jump right into this recipe. I love pastelon de papa because it brings together two of my favorite things, carne molida and some mashed potatoes, and we're going to be making both and then putting them together to create this yummy dish. So first things first, we want to season our ground beef with some onions, some green peppers, red peppers, fresh cilantro, fresh garlic, some sopita, some Dominican oregano, but regular oregano will also work, some sazon for color, and we're going to be adding just a tiny bit of cumin because a little bit goes a long way. We're going to add some black pepper to taste, and of course, we're also going to add some freshly squeezed limes. And once you've added all of your ingredients, we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix it together until it's well combined. And it's really important that you really mix all those flavors together. And once you finish mixing in the ingredients, we're now going to let this sit and marinate for at least an hour. Now we're going to add some oil in a heated skillet, and I'm cooking this over about medium heat. And now we're going to add our ground beef and we're going to let it brown just a little bit. But keep in mind that as ground beef starts to brown, it's going to have the tendency to clump up into these little balls. So you want to take your wooden spatula or your wooden spoon, whatever you're using to cook, and you're going to want to go in and break it up just like you see me doing right here. And another trick that I like to do is I actually like to do this using the back of the spoon as well. So as the meat is cooking, it's also going to release its juices and it's going to start to kind of tenderize itself. And it's really during this process right here that you want to go in and really break up those clumps just because it's going to be easier. And once the meat has browned completely, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of water. Because listen, the meat is going to fool you into thinking that it's actually done, but it's actually very chewy. And that's one thing that I absolutely hate whenever I'm making some carne molida. I like for it to be really, really soft. So the way that you do that is you want to let the water come to a boil, and then it's going to simmer away and it's going to evaporate. And once it evaporates, give it a quick taste test and see if it's nice and soft, like melt in your mouth. If it's not, then you know it's going to need some more water, which is what mine needed. So I went ahead and added like another 2 cups of water, and I went ahead and repeated the whole process. And while this is happening, I'm also keeping an eye out just to make sure that I've gotten out all those clumps. So once your meat is nice and soft, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some tomato paste and we're going to work it into the meat. And we're going to mix it all together. Now you do want to keep an eye on your carne molida. I'm using some lean ground beef. If you're using a ground beef that isn't so lean, it is going to get oily, so you do want to drain the excess oil. Once the ground beef is all nice and done, I'm going to go ahead and add some olives. This is totally optional. I know some of you guys aren't crazy about olives, and I absolutely love them. So once your ground beef is done, we're going to take that and set it off to the side. And now we're going to move on to making the mashed potatoes. So you want to add some peeled and diced golden potatoes, and you want to add some water until they are fully submerged. And you want to season it fairly liberal with some salt because this is going to start seasoning our mashed potato. Also, if you want, you can use regular potatoes. So if you have Idaho potatoes in your house, you can go ahead and use that as well. Just like my mashed potato video, I just love golden potatoes because they're nice and creamy and they hold their shape. So after about 15 to 20 minutes, once those potatoes have been boiled, boiling, I like to go in and check to make sure that they're nice and done and tender. And once they are, I actually drain the water and then I put it back onto the stove, and on a very, very low flame, I'm gonna go ahead and add some butter, and I'm gonna add some milk, or half and half, whatever you have at home, another pinch of salt, and we're gonna go in and we're going to start to mash them. Now, you can mash your mashed potato to the consistency that you like. I personally think that for this dish, it's good to have it just a tiny bit wet because we are going to be placing it back into the oven, so it's going to dry up just a little bit. So you don't want to start off with dry mashed potato. So once you've mashed your potato to the consistency that you like, resist the urge not to eat the mashed potato right there, which is what I had to do. Now we're going to start building our actual pastelon, which is like, again, it's a shepherd's pie, but it's almost like a lasagna as well. So the first layer is going to be mashed potato, and you can build this layer as thin or as thick as you like. It really depends on the baking dish that you're using. I'm using an 8x8-inch baking dish, which is fairly deep, but you can also use a more shallow baking dish like a 9x13, and that will also work. So once you've gotten that first layer almost perfect, we're going to go ahead and we're going to build our next layer. And our next layer is going to be that yummy carne molida. So we're going to spread the ground beef evenly until it's covered all of the mashed potato. And just like the mashed potatoes, you can make this layer as thick or as thin as you want. It really depends on the baking dish. And once you've added all of that yummy carne molida, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a special treat, which is going to be some yummy cheese. Now, I like to use mozzarella cheese just because it's really nice and creamy and light in flavor, and it blends so beautifully into the meat and the potatoes that it is truly a dream. But you can definitely kind of have some fun and use whatever kind of cheese that you like as well. So once we've placed down all of the cheese, we're going to build our final layer, which is adding some more mashed potatoes. And just like the other layers, you want to be really careful and you want to spread it completely and evenly until it's covered all of that meat and cheese. And once you finish building that very top layer, now we're really going to have fun and we're going to add a very generous serving of mozzarella cheese because this is going to cover our whole entire pastelon. If you have kids in the house, this is also a really fun dish to kind of get them involved just because they get to get their hands a little bit dirty. But if you're like me and my boyfriend, you also have to be sure not to eat all the cheese and the mashed potatoes in the process. So once you're done building your pastelon, go ahead and pop it right in the oven uncovered at 400 degrees, and we're going to bake it for about 15 minutes until the cheese melts. And once your pastelon is done, take it out and let it rest for about 5 minutes before cutting into it. So there you guys have it, my recipe for a pastelon de papa. If you have any questions on this recipe, comment down below or visit my website. And until next time, I'm Chef Z y buen provecho. Okay guys, so quick tip whenever you're making this dish. It's really important that you try and use a lean carne molida. So whenever you're shopping for that ground beef, try to find something that it's at the very least an 85-15 blend, or if you can get a 90-10 blend, because you don't want all of that fat oozing into the potatoes because then it's just going to be a hot oily mess. Now sometimes the grocery stores and the supermarkets just don't have lean ground beef, and that's totally fine. Whenever you are tenderizing the beef, so that's when you're adding the water and then letting it evaporate and then adding some more, and you're doing that whole process. Once you get it to that nice, perfect softness that you like, go ahead and drain the excess oil and the excess fat. Now, this is a trick that you definitely want to do whenever you're making anything that's stuffed with carne molida or ground beef. Same thing. So that's if you're making empanadas or if you're making my other pastelon or pastelon de plátano maduro. Yeah, anything that has stuffed ground beef, drain the excess oil and you'll be golden. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I do hope you liked today's meat and potatoes Dominican shepherd's pie dish. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that bell so that you're notified each and every single time I post an all new video. And lucky for you, I have so many already here on my channel and you can click on them right here.